We got Gators Breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC for a loaded Florida victorious episode right here on Gators Breakdown. Getting it started, Gators linebacker Grayson Pup Howard. I've been waiting a long time for that one. He's going to hop on Gators Breakdown, as well as from Florida victorious Bri Wade, the Vice President of Marketing, and Nick De La Torre, good buddy of mine, the Director of Content now at Florida Victorious. So a loaded episode here, getting us updated on all the newness at Florida Victorious, all the happenings there at Florida Victorious, and spring football coverage all spring long will be brought to you by Florida Victorious right here on Gators Breakdown. Great time to join. You can be the difference by joining Florida Victorious. Your support can directly impact the outcome on the field. You want to help the Gators win. You want a better game day experience. Well, just like when you pack the swamp, your unwavering support through Florida Victorious empowers the Gators to be their best. If you enjoy player access like this episode of Gators Breakdown, you'll find even more at Florida Victorious. Members receive invitations to exclusive events like the meet and greet after the spring football game, access to exclusive merchandise and memorabilia, great sports coverage from Nick De La Torre, and more. There's never been a better time to join Florida Victorious. So join today and make a difference in bringing victory to the orange and blue. Visit floridavictorious.com to join now. And here we are on Gators Breakdown, and I am honored and proud to be joined by Florida linebacker Grayson Howard. I have been waiting for a while for this one. Everybody knows I'm here in the 904 in the Jacksonville area. So Pup broke our hearts a little bit, went to South Carolina for a little while, but ends up back in the orange and blue. Hey, Pup, Grayson Howard, thanks for hopping right here on Gators Breakdown, and big thanks to Florida Victorious for setting this up.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I mean, is this your first Gator podcast? Did you do any at South Carolina or anything like that?
No, sir. Yeah, this is my first one.
Okay, there we go. So we're breaking the ice here.
Yes, sir.
Grayson, hey, first off, everybody wants to know, how's your health doing? Spring practice is right around the corner. Unfortunately, you missed those last few games of the season, but personally, how are you doing on the rehab and getting ready for spring practice?
Yeah, I feel good. Training staff does a great job at making sure that I'm healthy and I'm getting stronger each and every day. Definitely one a fortunate injury, one that tore a couple ligaments in my foot. So it takes a while, a lot of rehab, everything like that. But like I said, our training staff does a great job at making sure that I'm improving every day. So I'm excited for spring practice and summer workouts, fall camp, all that stuff to get ready for the season.
Yeah. So if I remember right, did it happen during the Georgia game and you tried to play through it to Texas and then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It happened early. I want to say early Georgia game. I think around like second quarter maybe. And then I just got it taped up, played the rest of the game, practice all week. Tried to play Texas, but my ankle when we left Texas was probably the size of a football. So.
Oh man, hey, it's odd going back and looking at it then, because you had that real big play in the second half of the Georgia game where you get the sack and Beck throws it up and Piper picks it off. So
yeah, adrenaline.
Yeah, at the time you were hurt doing that.
Yeah, adrenaline does that to you.
for sure. But kind of go into it just a little bit more. How has the workouts been? I'm sure the mindset of the team is probably a little bit different than it has been coming off that win streak to end the season, and now I know you guys don't really want to read press clippings and stuff, but hey, there's some hype around this Florida team right now. So how is the team reacting to all the the win streak, the positive mojo attacking these offseason workouts?
Yeah, Coach Napier does a great job at making sure that we're very humble. In the team meeting today, we talked about how hype and noise means nothing to us in this part of our offseason. And if you came and watched us work, you wouldn't think that we won 5 games. You would have thought we just went 0-10, just how hard we work. And our strength coach, Coach Miles, does a great job at making sure that each and every day he demands the best out of us. We talked about during our first workout that started in January that the standard last year is now raised, like it's 10 times raised. So we got to be more disciplined and more focused and execute better in everything that we do, and that starts with our workouts and now our OTAs.
So you played a majority of last season, so plenty of experience to take with you. So what do you think you did well? What do you want to improve on? And what surprised you most about last season?
Yeah, I would say that I definitely want to we'll start with what I think I did well. I think I did well at coming in and learning the system and earning my starting role, being able to help lead the defense. A lot of things that I can improve on. I would say, definitely taking the next step into actually knowing and planning what the offense is going to do, now anticipating instead of reacting. I'm going into year 2 within this defense, so I'm more confident. And I think that is just going to elevate my game to another level, allow me to play faster than I did last year.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Here we go. We'll follow that up. What surprised you most last season? Was there anything really that surprised you, honestly?
Yeah. Last year, surprise. I wouldn't say surprise. Of course, we didn't start how we wanted to, but I think that towards the end, we definitely finished how we wanted to. And I wouldn't say that as a surprise, because anybody in the building would tell you that's our standard, and that's how we envisioned us to play each and every Saturday. So I definitely wouldn't say surprise, but I'm real proud of how we turned it around.
Yeah, go to that end of the season, and look, a lot of that was on the defensive side of the ball. You've kind of talked about it a little bit, but maybe just for that side of the ball and the team meetings and maybe even your position room meetings, what's the mindset, this spring on that side of the ball to keep that up? It's you guys played really, really well down the stretch, and I'm sure it's hey, we got to keep this momentum up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a bunch of great guys, and we have a great defensive coordinator, Coach Ron, leading us. And we got some new coaches in that are going to do a great job. And I feel like we have a great support system with those coaches that we know that we can achieve anything that we want to do. And we have a lot of great guys returning, and we have some young guys that are just on board. And I feel like this spring is going to be big for us to help build that new culture that we want in our defensive room, and then be able to refine it during the summer and just display it during the season.
You mentioned new coaches there, and I think for you, a new position coach here in Robert Bala coming into the coaching staff. We don't know a whole lot about it. So what's the early impressions? I'm sure you guys are kind of learning at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you would have thought that he's been in this defense for a little minute. He took it on real fast. I mean, he's smart. He demands a high standard, and he has a talented room to coach. So I think he's excited, and he's voiced that he's excited just as much as we're excited. I think getting coach under him for the past couple of weeks, he's a great guy and a great coach, and I think that he'll take our linebacker room to another level.
Grace, let's go back a bit. I mentioned as we started here, you transferred from South Carolina. That was about a year ago. How important was it for you to have Florida as your transfer destination? We know Florida was in the finalists, and you ended up going to South Carolina. But and I know we've heard in different interviews, and we've talked, and we've talked to various mutual friends that we have as well, and just being back closer to home.
Yeah, I mean, it means the world to be back closer to home. I mean, every Saturday, playing for that logo, playing for the state of Florida. I mean, you can feel the difference. I don't see why guys leave their hometown or leave their state when they go out of high school, because the pride that you work with throughout the offseason and the pride that you play with is definitely next level. And I think that's the biggest thing that helped elevate my game from my freshman year to my sophomore year.
Yeah, and how was that game in Jacksonville? Now, I know we didn't come out on the winning side of that game, but, of course, you being in Jacksonville, raised in Jacksonville, playing in Jacksonville, and then, of course, Florida Georgia's in the city. Was it a special moment to take the field against the Bulldogs?
Yeah, it was nice to be back home. It was definitely a business trip. I definitely wanted that win. I mean, I'll be able to take that win with me through years and years to come. Something to brag about for sure. But we definitely have next year, and I'm excited about that. But it was nice to be back home.
Hey, part of being back home, part of being in the orange and blue, and I'm going to show you this one now. This was in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go.
Yeah, I seen this one. Coach Jason sent me this.
Yeah, there we go.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, there we are at Harmonic Woods. Everybody, a lot of people out there know that they'll
Yes,
stop.
sir.
We got our own pup pound at the Harmonic
Yes, sir.
Gators, and there's Bubba right there. You coach from Oakleaf at Jackson. He's at Oakleaf now.
Yeah.
Jason's there at Jackson, wearing their pup jerseys, of course. But that was taken in Jacksonville right there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they sent me that. I couldn't do nothing but smile.
So if you listen on podcast, everybody, just go watch the YouTube version for a second. You'll see me, Jason, and Bubba right there with a pup poster at the Harmonic Woods tailgate. So I figured, I was like, I got Puppo. I gotta make sure he sees this. So I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Hey, plenty of support, my friend. Plenty of support there.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's go back to last season and. We talked about it, and I asked you this question. Florida Victorious holds these events, and you were, taking part with Nick and doing a Q&A. But let's get it in podcast form. The team was winning, but you weren't able to be out there during those big wins over LSU and Ole Miss and Florida State to end the season. Obviously, happy for your teammates that they're out there performing. But how tough was it not being able to take part in those big wins for the Gators at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think thus far that's probably the most mental battle that I had to face. I mean, I've faced some pretty harsh things, but I think that was probably one of the toughest things that I had to go through, knowing that I'm in a situation where people tell you all the time, just control what you can control. But doing those 4 months, well, not 4 months, but during those 4 games, I was in a rough spot mentally, but I was always there for my teammates, and I supported them and in the meeting room, helping the linebackers, all that good stuff. But yeah, it was definitely tough. But I'm a firm believer in that. The man above does everything for a reason. And you read the stories about Jesus and what Joseph had to go through, and then I'm like, all right, well, I missed 4 games, and Joseph was sold into slavery. Jesus was crucified. So you go through all these things, and you're like, well. My story is nothing to compare to what they had to go through, but my suffering will all make sense in God's plan.
This means more victories toward this season. You're gonna be on that field for all those victories coming up, man. So that's what we're looking for. So we won't hang on to last year too much, but from your perspective, and a lot of Gator Nation wants to know this, and I still get asked this question a lot. And maybe you could shed more light on it. I had Cam Jackson on the podcast last month. I've had Coach Napier on, and he's described it as well. But if from your perspective, you're out there in practice, you're out there in the games, all the snaps. What changed from that defense? You mentioned the rough start to the season, and we all remember the Miami and the Texas A&M games. Obviously, those early season bumps can happen with some new pieces, but maybe if you could share maybe some dialogue, or maybe you share the dialogue between the coaches and the players, and maybe how that played a part. And I know intensity in practice was brought up too, that maybe something changed. So if you could, let the fan base know as much, and I'm sure there's some in-house secrets we don't want out there, but what changed from your perspective in that defensive performance?
Yeah, I would first say that it was a new defense that a lot of us had to learn, because a lot of us were transfers that played. And it also was a group of guys that's never played with each other before. Like, in the spring, the defense is split half and half. So some of the guys you're not even, working with. And during the summer, you don't have no pads on. You got pads on for like 2 weeks of fall camp. So it's going to take a while for a new group of guys to build that cohesion and that trust to be a great defense. And I think that throughout weeks of suffering together, that brought it out of us. And like I said, Coach Napier and Coach Ron did a great job at making sure that we didn't perform to the standard that we wanted to. So each and every week we got better and evaluated it and got better each and every week. And I think that towards the end of the season, middle end of the season, we started playing how we wanted to. And I think that's a big reason of how we elevated our game.
Yeah, one of the most recent episodes of Gators Breakdown I had, we were looking at the returning production. And you're right. going from last year, you and Bridges and Douglas and Asa and Gums up front. Yeah, there were a lot of new pieces, but now a lot of returning pieces this year. So maybe getting off to a better start right there. Hey, this is pretty interesting. So I had Coach Napier on the podcast a few weeks ago, and we were discussing, the edge spot a bit and how that spot has changed a lot this offseason. And then he brought your name up as a guy who can slide over and maybe provide some play at edge. How did that come about, and how much do you look forward to that opportunity?
I think that is not like a let's move him to edge type of thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. Certain spots, certain situations, pass rush, third and 8, maybe so.
I was always taught, especially in high school, that if you have a problem, you just put a guy that can solve the problem at that spot. Basically, you put your good players in good positions. So if we needed that, to be done, short yardage, edge set, anything like that, I'll get it done. Like I said, our strength coaches do a great job at making sure we get in the right shape in the off season. And you can ask T Miles any day of the week. He knows that I'm the hardest worker in there, and that I push my body to the limits. So come on Saturdays, that it'll be easy for me to help my team in any way that I can. So I definitely think that Coach Napier has trust in me, and a lot of other guys as well, to play different positions that'll help the defense in certain situations.
Yeah, he mentioned Aaron Childs as well.
Absolutely.
Aaron Childs that you could in a pinch, maybe slide over if you guys have to. Hey, now when he said that, and I knew I was having you on the podcast, it pinged something in my head. I was like, well, I remember Pup having a really good relationship with Mike Peterson. Date back to South Carolina. Now he's at Florida, of course. So do you get to get coached up by Mike Pete a little bit if you have to slide over? Or how does that work? I mean, of course, I know Ball is your main position coach, but is there a little session with Coach Pete in that regard?
So a lot of the stuff that we did last year, where we did a 5 up front, we wouldn't change the personnel. We'd just move the Mike linebacker up to the line of scrimmage. That would just be something that Coach Ron coached, or our linebacker coach at the time. That would be just something that he coached.
Okay.
We'll get a couple plays of that a game, get coached by it. But I mean, if you knowing the type of things that I want to do next year, taking it to the next level, it wouldn't be a bad idea to, of course, get coached by Mike P on maybe pass rush or firm run stop or anything like that. He's a great mind as well, and I mean he's played linebacker for a long time.
Yeah, that's and you transferring it to Florida. I was like, well, at least I know Pup knows a lot of people on the staff anyway. I knew you were close to Mike Pete there from South Carolina, and
yes, sir,
and the transition to Florida there. So, hey, you mentioned it, and I was going to bring it up anyway. Coach Balla has to feel good walking into that room. He's got you. He's got Jaden Robinson, Miles Graham, Aaron Childs, a deep and talented room. Yeah. How do you see that depth and competition pushing each of you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I know me, Miles, and AC all have the same lift group, and I mean, we demand excellence out of each other. We see each other, we correct each other. It don't matter who it is. Like Miles could correct me, I could correct AC, AC could correct J-Rob. Like it's we hold each other to a standard, and we all push each other. Of course, we're all competing for that starting role, but I mean, we all have different talents and ability to, all showcase our talents on the field, and that's not like a decision that needs to be made right now, of course. But I mean, Coach Balla is walking into a very talented room with a lot of guys that has grown their experience, and a lot of guys that are ready to play.
So we also got to bring it up. Talk about the Jacksonville connection and what it means to have several teammates, from the same area. Sharif Denson, Trayon Webb, Jaden Robinson, Austin Barber, Roderick Kearney. How does that local connection help build team chemistry on and off the field?
Yeah, it's nice to know that you have guys from the same city. I mean, our team is full with guys from Jacksonville. It's including freshmen that just came with Stubbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's nice to have guys from Jacksonville be able to connect with them and bond with them as well.
Yeah, sure. And you kind of mentioned it earlier, returning home, from South Carolina now to Florida. When those Jacksonville guys are on campus, just got to get in their ear a little bit more.
Yeah.
Tell them the same thing you told me
Yeah.
about staying here local and stuff. So, Grayson, what players you relying on right now? Who are your confidants on the team? The guys that you lean on?
Yeah, I would say right now definitely is I would say Miles. He does a great job at playing the will linebacker. He had a good freshman year, and I think that he gets better each and every day. And he is a workhorse, and I think that he elevates everybody around him as well. And I know that he'll be a good will linebacker for us. And each and every day, like I said, he gets better. So just knowing that he gets better helps me get better, and I feel like together we'll be a good linebacker core.
So, of course, the guys in front of you can make your job a little easier.
Absolutely.
And Cam Jackson on the way out, Des Watson on the way out. So give us an update on those young guys. Those young guys in the middle. Of course, Caleb Banks returns.
Yeah.
But some guys that we saw some flashes from last year that are now going to be in front of you. They're playing in front of you, helping you out on defense.
Yeah, I know. Of course, Caleb is returning, so that's really good for us. DeAndre, of course, is returning as well, and Makai. I'm sorry, but they're both returning. But I will say this about Makai. Makai does a really good job at working hard. Just watching practice each and every day, especially towards the end of the season, you can see him taking control of the D-line, especially when guys like Dez or Cam wasn't in that play. And he's the guy up there. He's taking control of the D-line. He's communicating stunts to the D-line. He's talking it out with the D-line. He's doing everything. And it's like sometimes, if you watch real games, you got SEC defensive linemen that don't even do that. And this is our freshman defensive lineman, second string that's doing that. So just having that confidence in him shows that come the time when it's his turn, that he's going to do a great job for us. And he's working. I mean, he's stronger, he's faster, he's toned up. I mean, he's a good player.
And then, of course, he got hurt in preseason camp. Jamari Lyons returning.
Yeah.
Not so much of a young guy compared to those guys. That's who I brought the young guys up. But I mean, hopefully, a nice little core there in front of you. And repeating a lot of what we saw last year.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Grayson, right here, we're working with Florida Victorious. Of course, they're getting bigger and bigger and better, and it's really helping you guys showcase yourselves. And showing who you are by joining podcasts like this and also interacting with fans and the community out there. Talk about your role with Florida Victorious, and I hope you get to enjoy being able to show yourselves out in a different light than college athletes weren't really doing just a few short years ago.
Yeah, I think Florida Victorious does a great job. I know all the shows and all the podcasts and all the extra. I know it's all good, but I really, really appreciate Florida Victorious for helping us get out there in the community. It makes my day to be able to go to the elementary school and play with the kids and beat them in Connect Four. Anybody will tell you I'm a Connect Four legend when it comes to playing with the kids at the elementary school. But I mean, you could be having a bad week, and then on one Wednesday, one Friday, you go up there, and now your whole weekend is set. I just went to be able to do Habitat for Humanity and being able to help construct a house that is being built for the less fortunate. I mean, it's just a privilege to be able to help people in the community. And I like how, it's not like that at every other school. Like other schools with your NIL money, it's never like that. So I think that they do a great job in, helping that image of us. And it also helps the guys to be around, to help. It helps the guys to be able to help the community around us like just not sit around and just, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's real good, and I really appreciate it, and I look forward to doing it every time I get a chance to.
Yeah, so I think I got your answer there, but I
Yeah.
guess, what's been your favorite event so far through Florida Victorious? Is it going out to the schools and
Yeah.
Connect Four?
Yeah, so we always play a lot of games. That and my last time we did like this hula hoop rock paper scissors thing. It
Oh,
was all the kids versus all the guys. We won though, like we blew them out, but it was still fun. But it's always fun to go up there. But yeah, I look forward to all the time to beat the kids in Connect Four.
we got to get a hold of the makers of Connect Four and make sure the colors aren't red and black anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Change to orange and blue.
Yeah.
Hey, Pup, let's get to know you a little bit before we sign off here on this episode of Gators
Yes, sir.
Breakdown. What do you do for fun? I mean, I know you're serious about football. I know you train. We were talking right before we
Yeah.
came, and you're waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and making sure you're going and training and everything. But what does Grayson Howard like to do for fun?
I wish I did have a hobby, but no. I usually, to be honest with you, I usually just stick around in the house. I find a good show on Netflix to watch. I'm real particular about my shows; like they got to be good. Like I can't just turn on something for background noise. I have to have good shows.
Man, me and you are the same way there.
Yeah. But besides that,
what's your favorite show right now, then?
sir.
What's your favorite show right now, then?
All right, so it's really hard. So I just finished Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay.
So Breaking Bad, I would say is 2 of all time, but it's because it's Breaking Bad, and then you got the spinoff Better Call Saul.
Okay.
But that together was chef's kiss. It was really good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay,
what's your number one then? If you put
number one, controversial, but American Horror Story is the best show ever.
I watched the first few seasons and then got out of it.
Yes, see, I a lot of people say that, but it's my favorite show ever. I've also watched every single episode of Law and Order SVU.
Okay.
Every single,
Man.
all 500 episodes.
I was about to
That's
say,
it all.
yeah.
Ozark is really good as well.
Oh yes, yeah, that's up there for me too.
Yeah. Orange is the New Black is good. I watched it I watched it a while ago, but that's just some of my favorite shows.
Yeah, even though it didn't end well, Game of Thrones is at my top.
So everybody says it's good, but I haven't started it yet. But I need to.
Yes. That's the next one. That's the next one.
Yes, sir.
Favorite place to eat in Gainesville?
Oh. See, I don't really like sit down restaurant.
Okay.
But my go-to is like it's nothing like specific in Gainesville. Like
Okay.
I go to like Publix. I go to Publix to get a Publix sub.
That's fine too.
No, I've actually been on let me see the name of this place. I'm gonna get it for you.
Okay, all good. We got time.
It's let me see.
Plenty of options though. Plenty of options.
Yes. Tacos 352.
Okay.
I literally just grabbed that tonight, but I've had this place. So I discovered it maybe a couple weeks ago. But I had this place maybe like once a week for the past like month or two. It's really good.
Burrito Brothers years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you ever got it as a kid, maybe. It hasn't been in Gainesville for quite some time. But
Yeah.
all the old school, all the OGs will know what I'm talking about there.
Yes, sir.
So I guess maybe do you have a favorite place in Jacksonville?
To eat?
That's just local to Jacksonville then?
I wouldn't say I had a favorite place to eat, but one place that I do like is I don't know the name of it, but Coach Bubba that we were just talking about. Yeah. We went to it was towards the beach, but it wasn't on the beach. It was like it was like a long road down a boat storage for like when you store your boats.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And it was like on the pier.
Yep. Okay. I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of it either, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. But that place that has good seafood.
Yeah, right under the Intercoastal Bridge, right there.
Yes.
I got you. Yep.
Yeah.
Favorite meal you have to cook yourself?
I cook for the intake, not the taste.
I got you.
Everything I eat is performance based.
Yep. Okay. I figured that was the answer I was going to get.
Yeah, so it would either be steak and mashed potatoes or spaghetti.
Is that your favorite mom cooked meal as well?
I would say so.
Okay. What's your favorite piece of Gator gear that you have? Do you have a shirt that's just always your go-to? Because I know y'all got plenty. So you may not have a favorite because y'all just have everything in the world. So
yeah, I would probably say I had this jacket, this little sweater that I wore to death.
Okay.
Like it's messed up now. And I also have this. I also have another sweater. It's all white, and it's like I got it a double XL because I wanted it a little big, and it fits perfect. And I think I've wore it maybe twice out the house.
Yeah, it's all white, so you got to be careful with it. Be careful with it. You a big Jays guy? Do you like the Jordans? Yeah.
It's definitely nice to be at a Jordan school. Okay. Yeah, because you get random drops here and there, and pair of free Jays. Like can't ask for more than this.
Favorite class so far?
Favorite class? I would say probably my ASL class, my American Sign Language class. It's hard, but I like it. I like it.
Did you have a background? Did you have some semblance in sign language?
So I just needed a foreign language credit, and I felt like ASL would have been the most useful because one of the events at Florida Victorious, we went to the elementary school, and two of the kids there were deaf. So Miss Lisa, she also signed, so she taught me, and I forgot who else was with me, a couple signs so we could talk to the kids and play games with them and stuff. So that was also a cool experience.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah. All right, last one. I ask every player this, so I believe you answered this on the Florida Victorious message board, but I don't remember. But I ask every player anyway when they come on the podcast. Coach Napier's going to come up to you. Pup, you get to pick the uniform combination that we get to run out with. So what color helmet, what color jersey, what color pants is Pup Howard choosing?
To be honest, I've always been a fan. From high school, I've always been a fan of our all white.
So white helmet too?
White helmet too.
Okay, good. Me too. I love it.
Yeah. But I do love our traditional.
Yeah.
I think that Coach Napier did definitely on the conservative side of jerseys this year. But I think that they turned out a lot better than we thought they would have. I think that next year we should definitely open it up some, especially at home, be able to get the fans excited and get us excited.
Look, behind me, I got 3 different helmets. I got a white, a blue. We got plenty of choices.
Yeah, we just got to make sure that we start the season off strong next year, so we give Coach Napier the ability to open it up for us.
Exactly. Grayson, funniest coach to hang out with?
Ooh, that's hard. I'm gonna either go. I'm gonna go. All right, so Coach Roberts is underratedly funny. He is very funny. He's very funny. He's but I would probably go Coach Cannon, Gibbs, or I'll go Coach A-Watt in the weight room. A-Watt is unhinged. Like he's hilarious. He's hilarious.
And the player that makes you laugh the most?
Me and George are close, and he's funny. But I would say the most funny person on the team would probably be Enoch.
Really?
Yes. Enoch's he's got some jokes. He's got some jokes. Yeah.
That's why I asked. It's mostly different for everybody. So
Enoch is funny.
I know he wasn't here for long. Another Jacksonville. For a little short period of time, of course. But
we depending on the day, I let him claim it.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. So if Grayson Howard's in a good mood, he can claim Jacksonville.
Yeah, he can claim Jacksonville. He can claim Jacksonville.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, big thanks to Florida Victorious getting Grayson Howard right here on Gators Breakdown. Hey, Pup, man, thanks so much for hopping on. Been waiting to get you on. Any message out there for Gator Nation?
We're excited to put on a great show for you during the season. But as you know, it takes time, and we're going to be working day by day up until that point. Go Gators.
Go Gators. Go. Hey, Pup, man, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
You can be the difference by joining Florida Victorious. Your support can directly impact the outcome on the field. You want to help the Gators win? You want a better game day experience? Well, just like when you pack the swamp, your unwavering support through Florida Victorious empowers the Gators to be their best. If you enjoy player access like this episode of Gators Breakdown, you'll find even more at Florida Victorious. Members receive invitations to exclusive events like the meet and greet after the spring football game, access to exclusive merchandise and memorabilia, great sports coverage from Nick De La Torre, and more. There's never been a better time to join Florida Victorious. So join today and make a difference in bringing victory to the orange and blue. Visit floridavictorious.com to join now. And let's keep it going with Florida Victorious. You just heard a great interview with Pup Howard. Well, hey, we got even more right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. Bri Wade, Nick De La Torre from Florida Victorious. Hey, there's a lot going on at Florida Victorious. We're kicking off spring football. Spring sports are in motion. High rankings all over the place. I think it's keeping you guys busy a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's stick sports season, which means I'm living at Condren. My message board kicked me out of softball because
I heard the story, by the way.
Yeah, Taylor Shoemaker, who was National Player of the Week. I showed up. She went 1 for 9 on the weekend. So, listen, credit to me. I looked in the mirror, and I'm the problem. So I removed myself from the situation, and now she's back to hitting home runs. A lot of self-reflection went on that weekend.
Bri, how do you keep Nick in check?
Yeah.
It's quite the task every day to keep this one in line, but me and Nick have become good friends.
That's easy to do when you meet Nick De La Torre. So, just
Dave, checks in the mail.
Good stuff right here. Hey, but like I mentioned, guys, a lot of changes in recent months with Florida Victorious. Both of you guys kind of in the center of that, and the changes right here on Gators Breakdown. So, ladies first, Bri, recently you joined Florida Victorious as the vice president of marketing after holding the title of director of on-campus recruiting and special events for the football program. So just how's it been in 2 months now, I guess?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, it's kept me extremely busy, but I like being busy. That's why I work in the sport industry. It's been different being on this side of things, just because football is just such a, I don't know, just a niche little field, and you're siloed there. But it's been really nice to be on this side of things and work with all of our student athletes. So that's something that I when I first met Nick, I kind of explained to him that I have only lived in the football world. And so now I'm able to work with all of our 11 sports that we have contracted and work with those student athletes. So it's been really refreshing just to not only still get to work with my football babies, but also get to work and build relationships with all of our student athletes. And, of course, the staff at Florida Victorious, I had a really good relationship with them prior. In my previous role, we had a lot of crossover and we worked together on a lot of different things. So just getting to work with them every day, it's been awesome. And I didn't have to leave. I didn't have to go far. Like I said, I still get to see my boys. I still get to help out Coach Napier, help out the Gators. So it's been an awesome transition.
Good deal. And good friend Nick De La Torre, now the director of content at Florida Victorious. After years of covering the Gators for multiple publications, he is now closer than ever to the sports programs with Florida Victorious. So, Nick, you were close anyway before this, but it just seems like this shows you even more there.
Yeah, it's so I followed a girl who's not my wife or the mother of my child to UCF, but it was always a dream to go to Florida. Both my parents met here, so probably the university is the reason I'm here. Shout out to that psychology building where my mom stalked my dad. But I remember telling my dad when I got my first job with Gator Country, I'm going to Gainesville. And then I didn't wear a Gator logo, to be an unbiased journalist. Didn't wear a Gator logo for the last 13 years. And when I got my first stuff that said Florida Victorious on it, all of it had Gator gear, and it felt good again. It's an adjustment because it's definitely different, but I think the opportunity to be able to tell stories and getting to know our athletes, whether it's Leanne Wong, who I don't know how me and her have the same 24 hours with everything she does, or getting to talk to Pup Howard, getting to talk to today. We had Blake Sear doing some stuff and Colby Shelton doing some stuff. It's really cool to get to know these athletes on a more personal basis. And then as we continue to do that, be able to tell some more personal stories and take you inside the clubhouse, inside the locker room, and really get to know the people more than just the jersey that they wear.
Bri, let's go with you. And like you kind of hit on it a little bit, but how different is it transitioning from primarily recruiting in one sport to having this, expansive role helping Florida Victorious and student athletes across all sports? Like what key lessons from your time in football and with recruiting and NIL and all that experiences that you're applying to this ever-changing and growing NIL landscape?
Yeah, so I'm glad you used the word ever-changing because that is exactly what football was, especially recruiting. So recruiting, a big part of it is you plan these visits out like to the T, to the most like minute detail. And one thing will throw it off and you're constantly having to adjust on the whim and it's ever changing and you're just having to adjust and go with the flow and drink from a fire hose essentially. So with the ever-changing landscape of NIL, I think my job in recruiting definitely prepared me for just, rolling with the punches and just, adjusting accordingly and keeping it rolling without skipping a beat. But again, like, I think that is what's so intriguing is that it is keeping you on your toes. And, you just never know what's going to come next. But again, just adjusting and it's part of the college landscape now. So it's here to stay and just figuring out how to navigate it and how to be competitive in that space where we are, of course, at the top. So I think definitely in recruiting, I got to see recruiting pre-NIL, and then I've seen it post-NIL, and I see how much of an important piece of the puzzle it is. Of course, it's not everything. Of course, you don't want to get the kids that are here for the wrong reasons. They're only here for a check. Like, of course, there's other things that go into it. You still want the character piece. You still want, the right makeup. But at the same time, it is very much so a part of the puzzle. It is a very important piece of the recruiting process. So with me seeing that over on that side of things, working in football and seeing how important it is, it's really nice to be on this side of it and to kind of have, the point of view of being on the inside and seeing what it looks like on the inside and just bringing that over to this side to help us be competitive and help us to, really do our best in this space. So it's been really nice.
And I remember reading the article when you made the transition. Mm-hmm. You have a background in marketing anyway.
I do.
So how do you?
She's finally getting around to using that college degree.
My degree, yeah.
Finally getting around to it.
Hey, that happens to the best of us out there. So and we'll talk about Victory Defined in a second. But in just a general sense, how are you applying the marketing role to all that knowledge that you gained under Coach Napier in the football program?
Yeah. So of course, like you mentioned, my undergraduate degree, my bachelor's is in marketing. So of course I was a marketing major, came up in the marketing world in college, but funny enough, I think people don't realize the transferable skills. So essentially in recruiting, you're marketing, you're working in marketing, you're marketing the school, you're trying to sell the school to these prospective student athletes. So it's a lot of transferable skills. But again, I got to, kind of use my marketing degree in a sense, but in a very specific and niche field, and also get to see it from, again, a different point of view, a different lens. So it was really cool getting to, essentially use my marketing skills for the recruiting, side of things, but also like now I'm actually getting to use it for what it is, stereotypically for, like actual marketing. I get to oversee our marketing strategy here at Florida Victorious. And so a lot of that is, of course, like the Victory Defined campaign, which we will jump into a little later, as well as just other things just to improve our experience for our members and, just make sure we are, one of the most competitive and top collectives out here in the country.
Nick, come to you, and we mentioned your background, and you mentioned what you're going to do at Florida Victorious, but why did you choose Florida Victorious? Because I mean, you and I had conversations. We're friends. We talked, and you had other opportunities out there. What made Florida Victorious the choice, and wanting to take on this, I guess, challenge in a way as well?
Yeah, I've been long championing that players should get paid. Think that the schools everyone made a lot of money except for the players, who were the reason that we fill stadiums and turn the TV on. I think after 13 years of being on the outside, this was something new and fresh, and I don't have quotas to write, and I don't have to write a certain amount of stories. I can spend time doing other things. I can spend time getting to know players. We've got some cool stuff that will be coming out with basketball soon. That's just given the access that we have and the relationships we have with not only the players, but the coaching staff and the university as a whole. It was just a really new and fresh opportunity for me. And I've been doing one thing for so long. I guess you can teach an old dog new tricks, Dave, but it's been fun. I might not be breaking injury news while I'm out of practice as much anymore, but it's been a really, really cool transition for me to kind of get used to the guys. And I always used to say, I didn't root for the Gators when I was covering them, but I always rooted for the players, and you would develop relationships with players as you cover them. Max Garcia was just in town, and he stopped by. And I think I told Bri, I covered the Max Garcia in 2013. They were 4-8. I was not nice, but look, Max is still here. So I think that's kind of what really was exciting to me about this opportunity, was to be able to also help the players. I've kind of stumbled into some people liking me in the Florida fan base, and just helping them amplify their brands or create their brands, and help them, through college and moving forward.
So, we both kind of hit on this, but what have you learned during your brief time in the roles? Look, I've done work with Florida Victorious, separate from the podcast, and for me, it's been kind of like you guys, you connecting with these student athletes in a different way and discovering they're really good people first and foremost. And every interview I've done, they talk about how they do enjoy that working in the community. We just had Pup Howard on, and he's talking about beating kids a Connect Four at school. He's a Connect Four champion, and the games that they play. And it's like every interview we've had, it's just like these players actually do enjoy going on out there. And you learn, like I said, separate from these interviews. I've had and been at events where you don't learn who the football player is, you learn who the person is.
Bri, we might have to talk to Pup. I don't know if he needs to be rubbing fourth graders' noses into their losing in Connect Four. We might need to work on some bedside manner here. Maybe let them get one every once in a while. I think
he's a competitor.
Yeah. My grandpa never let me win a board game, and it meant more the one time, the first time I did. Yeah. I think you kind of hit it, Dave. It's like, these are people, talking to like Sear today. His dad passed away recently. These are people, and I think we lose that when you're only seeing them on TV. Mm-hmm. Someone might have a bad game on Saturday. Their girlfriend might have broken up with them on Friday. We have no idea what's going on. And I think we just see people on a TV screen, or we get into the cathedral that is Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, and it's almost like a Roman gladiator thing, and you kind of disassociate. Well, they're wearing a helmet, and I'm rooting for the helmet, but there's a person under there who has homework, who has a boot on their car. They've got other things they're worrying about, stuff that we have to worry about, while also worrying about performing in front of millions of people for a job that they are blood, sweat, and tears for 15 years to maybe get an opportunity to go to the NFL, or some of our women athletes who don't have a professional league, who are just doing it because they love the sport, and it's providing them an opportunity to go to college for either free or to get an opportunity to go to college where they can afford it. And they're just doing it and giving up their weekends and giving up their mornings because they love it. And I think being able to get to know them, I've learned they're a lot more interesting when they're not behind a podium. And talk to them like a normal person. There aren't 30 people and 10 cameras. So it's been really fun kind of getting to know the people and and quite frankly, reintroducing myself to to some of them after years of covering it from the outside.
Yeah, because they do think of you as one of those 30 people.
Yeah.
And now they don't have to.
Yeah.
And I'll touch a little bit about, to piggyback off of what Nick was saying, I think something that is really cool is that at Florida Victorious, of course, our members are, members of Gator Nation that really care, obviously, and that's why they're members of Florida Victorious. And it's really cool that we get to bring like the behind the scenes and peel back the layers of our student athletes to tell their stories. Because a lot of times, again, like Nick says, you see them in, the arenas, you see them, on the field, and that's all you see. But once you really get to know who these people are, I think it really puts things into perspective about how incredible and impressive of a lot of these student athletes are. So I think that's something cool that we get to bring to our fans in Gator Nation that typically like they wouldn't get to see.
That's something too. There's 3 pre-med majors on the gymnastics team, and they're doing 40 hours of gym and then pre-med. Dave, I think I took cooking chemistry in high school. Like there was I could barely handle that. The quality of human beings that we've been able to meet. And I really didn't get outside of my football, baseball bubble, but being able to go and talk to the softball players. I met Megan Hinnekamp, who's a new Florida Victorious athlete for soccer. And we just have some exceptional people here at the University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And something that's always been highlighted since the beginning of Florida Victorious is the community involvement. And we mentioned the schools too, but the Habitat for Humanity, I know, is a huge, venture for Florida Victorious. It just seems like ever since the very start, community involvement was going to be maybe even top priority for Florida Victorious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was negative in the past. I'm like, it's part of the NIL deal and this and that. And then I've gone to a couple of the Food for Kids and watching the guys interact with each other, packing lunches so that kids who might be food insecure, families who might be food insecure, have a bag to go home on Friday and they have something for the weekend. Going to the elementary schools and the way that these kids' faces light up, it's like they're seeing a superhero walk in. But even more so than that, like when you were talking to Pup, the players are into it. It's not like, we have to be here.
Yeah.
They are competing with these elementary and middle school kids, and just going to it a couple of times. And I even mentioned,
even Pup mentioned, he put in quotations, other schools have quote unquote NIL, but here he enjoys the camaraderie of the community aspect of it.
Yeah, it's something I think we want to maybe invite you and some other people out because my mind was really changed just seeing the interactions, and it was so pure. And I think, hopefully when they move on from Florida Victorious and they move on from Florida, they still remember that and the impact that they made. And maybe it will further them or further their giving or what they'll be able to do later because they remember the feeling that they got by giving back and rubbing some poor kid's nose in a Connect 4 game.
Hey, one way we're getting together now is to announce something new. Like I said, a lot of changes going on at Florida Victorious. Website redesign. And Nick, I know you'll be behind much of the content. So what features can Gator Nation be looking forward to?
Well, I want to. Well, when I got to Gator to Florida Victorious, it was just a page kind of asking you for money, and I thought, man, if I'm a Gator fan and I'm in San Francisco, what am I getting on a random Wednesday? And the answer was not much. And we kind of made what we had existing work, and then decided like, hey, we want to give our members wherever you are in the country. If you are in the Army and stationed in Guam, we want you to feel like you're here in Gainesville with us. And that's going to be the aim of the content that we're bringing. And I think we have some really cool new features with the website. The company that we're working for has a lot of high profile clients, and there's some cool stuff that we're going to be able to do. But I think Bri is probably going to be humble here, but she has been unbelievable to work with. The Victory Defined campaign completely from her, countless hours. I think both of us, she looks better than I do, but these bags, they've only gotten worse. It is a lot of work. I said, basically it was like I've always gone to a website and it's like going to a car dealership. They give you keys and you drive off the lot. Bri and I walked into the car dealership and they were like, "What transmission do you want?" We were like, "Excuse me?" No, you're building the car. And we were like, first time. Cool. But she is so organized, has such great ideas, unique ideas. And I think we've been able to collaborate. She's definitely brought the best out of me. And, but I do want to give her props. This is her campaign and she has done an exceptional job. A lot of hours have gone into what you're looking at when you go to the website now.
So you see on right here on the episode, Bri's got the hashtag Victory Defined. We brought it up earlier. So Bri, what is this? What that you've created? It's Victory Defined. Tell Gator Nation what they can expect from that.
Yeah, no. So Victory Defined is a campaign, and the thought behind the campaign is, the Florida Gators. We've been a beacon of excellence all these years, so it's built on that whole premise of us being an everything school, from the championships, record-breaking performances, like that's who we are. That is the standard. That is the gold standard, and carrying that over into everything we do, including the NIL space. So I think, again, with the new landscape of college athletics, we are presented with a unique and quite powerful opportunity to kind of redefine what victory looks like. So it's not just winning on the field, or it's winning off the field as well. And I think this is a space that we can be competitive and we can win in as well. So we're building on the rich history of the Florida Gators, and we're also creating new pathways for success. So that's kind of the overarching idea of that. And at the heart of this campaign is community. So it's a collective effort. So we all win together. We all play a role in defining victory. We all play a role in being victorious. And so that's basically what this is. We are creating these opportunities for our student athletes to be successful and to build their legacies, as well as laying the foundation for future generations to come. So by being a part of the movement, you are a key player and you play a key role in the success of this program. And so we can all win together and we can all share those sweet victories. That's kind of the idea of Victory Defined.
Nice. We'll get that hashtag trending, by the way, when we get that going out there. Hey, Bri, you just mentioned in this ever-changing landscape and stuff, and the question I've been asked a lot, and Nick, maybe you have too on this, but revenue sharing is coming up. Yeah. And as much as you guys can share, I know there's probably still meetings happening and still figuring out and all that good stuff. But one question I get a lot is what happens to Florida Victorious once rev share kicks in. So, is there anything you can share on that angle? I think you're on mute, Nick.
Yeah, it's my first podcast. We expect the House settlement to go through. It's not law yet. It's not there yet, but we're all kind of operating as it will go through. It'll be interesting to see how schools, I think I've seen like Georgia, a reporter put how Georgia's going to split it up. And obviously football is going to get the majority of that. But I think the rev share is going to be a baseline, and the need to spend, over cap is what people are calling it. I'll tell you what, it's schools like Ole Miss and the Grove Collective, they're not expecting rev share to just be it. So it was interesting because it almost felt like they were trying to get the collectives out of it early on, and it's kind of turned into, hey, rev share is cool, but what else can you do? And it will be cool to add extra scholarships, I think, especially to some women's sports, adding some scholarships to baseball, which I've long yelled about 11.7 being ridiculous for baseball. So I think it will be interesting to see how schools divvy that up, because if you're giving scholarships, that's taking from that pool. So I think a lot of meetings going on across athletic departments across the country to figure out how that is going to be. But as NIL has been for the last 2 years, if you don't like the rules, wait 4 months. It'll be something completely different.
Hey, Bri, maybe you can speak on this too, because something for Florida Victorious, and I'm sure you can help the players with this with the marketing background. Florida Victorious just isn't NIL in a Florida Victorious space. You are helping all the student athletes in NIL and other avenues as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we definitely are. So of course, like we touched on the community impact side of things, and then the typical marketing things. But we also, outside of that, we have financial literacy. We're setting them up with financial advisors and just making sure they're covered on all of these different all the different facets that go into it, and just making sure that again, we're providing these resources for them to ultimately set them up to be successful. So it's not just like you said, necessarily like the NIL, the marketing, it's all the other things that goes into it as well.
And some of the guys are setting up LLCs. I'll tell you what, when I was 23, I was a 1099 worker. I had no idea Uncle Sam was going to take half that check, and was quite the shock when I met my accountant at the end of the year. So that's something as an 18-year-old, have no idea that that's going to happen. And I think it's so important. I think every collective, every school should make an emphasis like we have to give that education. Because if you're getting, say, $100,000, the worst business partner, but the most consistent business partner you will ever have is Uncle Sam. And he will have his hand out, and that $100,000 check is not $100,000. So don't go spending it. So I think that's really cool, is that we're not just throwing money at you and saying, hey, go win games. We're trying to teach and make better, well-rounded people as soon as they step on campus.
A couple more thoughts before I let you guys go. And hey, Bri, I want to get your input and get your angle to this. Let's talk about the football team for a second. Spring practice right on the horizon. You had access that not many had, of course, and now you got a new role. So, how changing was it that last 4 games of the season, and the big wins over LSU and Ole Miss in the Swamp, and then of course beating rival FSU to end the season, and getting to see the players finally enjoy some victories and recruits come flying in right before signing day. So. How was it from the inside on that big winning streak at the end of the season?
No, definitely. Of course, the beginning of the season was a little rough, but I will say it was something about that first bye week that flipped a switch. I mean, the boys, they were very vocal about what they thought about, ways that we could improve. Of course, the coaches were thinking of ways like, hey, what do we need to work on? What do we need to improve? And with the collaboration of both the players' voices as well as the coaches, I think we kind of turned things around. And something that the team said was the Florida Gators can hang with anybody. Like, they can play with anybody. I actually wrote it on my whiteboard, and it had been on my whiteboard since that bye week. And as you can see, you saw the progress as we continue to progress through the season. And it was just something about that bye week. We went to that bye week. We weren't performing how we wanted to perform. And they were like, no, we're going to do something about it. And it just flipped a switch. So then again, started ramping up. We got some big wins, including, home beating Ole Miss. That was a great, sweet victory for me. Me being a Mississippi girl, that one hit a little different. But no, it was just really nice to see like the team come together and rally behind each other. And they're like, no, we're not accepting this. Like, we can do better. We're going to do better. We're going to prove all the doubters wrong. And they just really banded together, and they proved they had a point to prove. So to see that improvement and go on that like kind of run at the end of the season, and just knowing how much young talent is on that team, I'm excited about this new season. I'm excited to see what comes in spring ball. We have, of course, like the newest Gators just joined. We have the mid-years that are here, that we have some absolute dogs in that class. So I'm really excited about this year. I think the fans have something to be super excited about. I think we're going to do some good things, and we're going to shock some people, just similar to how we did at the end of the season. So
she forgot to mention that the Gators football team is undefeated since I started with Florida.
That's true.
Never wanted to point the finger at myself, but it's possibly a coincidence.
That's we'll let Napier know about that too. Nick's just kind of we got. Speaking of excitement, what about events coming up? What can if the current members for Florida Victorious or people looking to join Florida Victorious, what are some of the events that got to be a member to join, of course, or to take part in these events? But what's coming up?
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, we have the SEC tournament coming up. So we will be hosting an event there. Florida Victorious will be there hanging out. So we will be hosting something for our members that come into Nashville. So we'll be announcing that soon. And of course, we can look forward to the Orange and Blue weekend, the spring game weekend, which is presented by Florida Victorious. We'll have a Friday night or Friday evening kickoff that's kind of in conjunction with baseball. We're going to do a little tailgate. And then Saturday, we'll have our regular tailgate pregame. And then postgame, we will have our meet and greet. So if you guys want to be a part of the festivities, join Florida Victorious, and we have other exciting things coming soon.
Awesome. That Yeah, that meet and greet last year, I'm telling you, that was a huge event. I mean, to see all the fans on the field after the game, it was like, whoa. There's a lot of members there.
It's something that every once in a while, it's almost like a pinch me moment because Bri's on the field the last 3 years. Bri's on the field. The field was the office for her.
Yeah.
We're in the stadium and every once in a while someone will, reach out and they're like, I'm coming to the game. I haven't been in Gainesville in 10 years. And you're like, oh man, like just even being on the field, even if the players weren't there.
Right.
Just like that. And we kind of like take that for granted being in this, this bubble. It's a really cool opportunity. The guys, like we said, the guys are great. And I like seeing the kids and how excited they are.
Yeah.
I'm just becoming a sap, Dave. I had a baby girl. Now I'm just a sap. I think I'm realizing that now, but that's a great event. And I've watched it from the outside for 2 years and now seeing the planning that goes into it. I'll tell you what, Bri Wade takes unbelievable notes. Unbelievable notes. She is so organized. And we have to also mention Riley and Lisa.
Yes,
the
definitely.
3 women I work with are fantastic. I think Eric and I would be lost in the office just making dumb jokes all day and nothing would get done.
All I heard was Bri Wade takes more notes than Billy Napier. That's all I heard. That's all I heard.
Where do you think I got it from?
Yeah. It should be fun. We have some really good stuff. Bri's doing a great job planning that. And listen, you don't have to twist my arm to get me to go to Nashville, Dave.
That's true. That's true. Nick loves Nashville. May not be a big Vanderbilt fan, or or when Florida would go to Vandy, the 4 hours of the ball game was Nick's worst part of the trip.
It was. It was. There was one year it was like a 9-6 game, and it was like 32 degrees, and I'm like, this is terrible. What are we doing here? Get me back to Broadway.
Hey, Bri, I'm gonna let you go after this. I just want to know if you can share what's the craziest recruiting story. No, you don't have to name names.
Ooh, there are so many. Like, let's think. Craziest recruiting story.
We've had some. Well, you got one?
I have one. I have one. Okay. So for an unofficial visit, it was during spring ball. So we had a recruit that came in. He was a top recruit, 5-star. He was coming to visit. He had only visited once and we were getting him back. But he was actually on his way to Orlando for a family reunion. So we ended up hosting part of his family reunion on that visit. There were like 34 people that came with him to that visit. And we had to shuttle around all 34 of his family members. And it turned into, it was so funny. Like, the photo shoot turned into this full dance party. We had the Soul Train line going on. It was a whole ordeal. But that is probably one of the craziest things that has ever happened. I just remember the coach was like, hey, can y'all step into my office? And I'm like, oh, Lord, what is it? And we walked to his office. He was like, okay, I got the list of names. But just so you know, it's 34 people. We were like, it's how many? 34? So yeah, we hosted part of a family reunion. We were part of their agenda. So that was quite crazy.
The list is actually a CVS receipt.
Yeah.
Hopefully they put y'all in the t-shirt.
Right. Exactly.
All good stuff. Right there. Florida Victorious, everybody. Join if you're not a member yet. If you are a member, thank you so much there. Of course, supporting all these student athletes there at Florida. Bri Wade, Nick De La Torre, thank you guys so much for hopping on Gators Breakdown.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.